welcome to
Witty Witty Banter. I'm Monica.
And I'm Paola, and today we have a very special guest today here in the studio.
Yes, today is our interview day, and as you know, we bring pretty much everybody into the podcast booth as much as we can. The first interview that we had was an artist, and now we have somebody that is behind the board. So let's welcome Vanessa Ayala, everybody.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here because a lot of people don't know that, well, if you do, if you don't, that I just released my EP Tres, and as well as a single with Azteca Records, Ya Lo Sé Que Tú Te Vas, which the music video just released this last week.
And it was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It was really good.
It was so good.
I was telling Vanessa I had some mixed feelings because of the fact that I met my co-star like mid like recording, performing. And so I was like, well, I didn't know him. And so it felt really like, okay, I had to really get in my character.
Yeah, you were in Love is Blind.
Pretty much.
The reveal.
Well, I didn't know him. But, you know, ultimately a part of that was Vanessa actually did my vocals. We actually got to work together on my EP, on this single. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I was super excited when I got that message from Carlos, and he said, hey, you're going to work with a young lady named Monica. I was like, Monica? What Monica?
Right.
He was like, Sandivar. I was like, what? You know I know Monica, right? And he's like, I didn't know that. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. We went to Booker T together. We went to DBU together. So I was super excited.
Yeah.
He was like, well, can you reach out to her? And I was like, yes, I have her number. I'll just reach out to her now.
Yeah.
So I was super excited to record that. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I didn't even know all of that. That's amazing.
So we, you know, the fact that you're a Booker T alum to begin with, the fact that we're 3 Booker T alum here, which is why the shirts are on the table as well as the Letterman jacket, everybody. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing because we had the same, you know, not necessarily the same process of going through things, because I know things were different as time went on. We all were in Latin American ensemble.
We were.
We had our own experiences.
We had some stories.
Oh yeah, those were fun.
Dude, the thing about meeting somebody from Booker T is that we immediately feel like family.
Yeah.
Like, man, I walked in here, I was like, all right, I can let La Lonja out. It's fine.
Just kind of put your suitcase down, put your coat down.
Mm-hmm.
No, but ultimately, you know, being a Booker T alum and then going into Dallas Baptist University, which again, I know you and I have some stories, some good stories, and then, you know, obviously some kind of traumatic things.
Very traumatic.
During the time that we went, it was very, very challenging, I would say, as a Latina.
Yes.
And we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah, because I think that's a powerful story to tell.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know what's going on.
No, I mean, and, you know, nothing against Dallas Baptist University. It housed us for a good portion of our lives, a good portion of, you know, the years that we went there. We met our people that we met.
Yeah.
We've gained, you know, companions over the time and good experiences and memories, which ultimately got you into the studio.
Yes.
You know, how long have you been an engineer?
So I started in 2018. Mm-hmm. I started in 2018. I always tell people the first 2 years do not count. Mm-hmm. The first 2 years, you mess everything up. You're trying to figure out what everything does. You understand everything, but you don't listen and you don't hear everything. So as an engineer, that's the most important part, right? Is to listen.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part, I think, to transition from just listening to music to actually listening to music. Like, okay, where do I want this to go? How do I want the vocals to mix in the music? How do I want to EQ everything? How do I want to compress everything? Is it over compressed? Is it not compressed enough? So those are things you just pick up. So I would definitely say the first 2 years are like your practice years.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I started in 2018. And fast forward to today, I'm still engineering. I love what I do. I've been wanting to do that since I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
So that was always my dream and my goal. I did work retail while I went to school. I was a manager at T-Mobile.
Oh.
We all been through that.
Facts. We all been in the retail world. And I remember sitting there and I just remember thinking like, okay, I'm in retail. Like, how am I going to get to the studio? You know, like I don't want to do retail. I want to be in music. So I just sat there and I'd be like, I don't know how, but I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna, like, God open the doors like that I need to walk through so that it can happen. And sure enough, like, fast forward to today, I work at like one of the best studios in Dallas. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's called Empire Sound Recording Studio. We're located in Carrollton. If anybody wants to book, hit me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been there, and it's an amazing studio. It's very, very comfy.
Very comfy.
Very comfy. And if anybody knows, as artists, we have to have that. We have to have that aspect. And I know you're recording your album right now, you know, so
Hey girl,
Come on. Come on, I would love to house you.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's an amazing environment. The people that have walked in there, the artists that have recorded there, the space is very welcoming, like she said. And I'm a lights person. Like, the lights have to be
Yes.
perfect. So it's like you have to pick a color. Like, I will make you pick a color. She doesn't like to pick a color.
It's like, what's your aura?
I'm like, surprise me. Because there are times, you know, like this last EP, we had to kind of rush that shit, you know, and I'm going to be real honest about it. Like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, we're going to be honest. We had to rush it. And I'm over here texting her. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just freaking out. And she's like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. And then she, you know, ultimately she worked with me, you know, and that's a very important part of the artist side of things. It's always good to have an engineer that will work with you, will,
Facts.
you know, be calm with you and not so much like, okay, yeah, let's get it over and done with.
Yeah.
You know, by the hour.
Yeah, you have to have that chemistry.
So yeah, so that's my biggest thing. Is I will get the best sounding product for my client. So that is like, I have to get the best sound or it'll make me just go crazy.
Yeah.
I will bring the performance out of you even if you don't want to be there. And sometimes artists are like, well, I'm trying. I'm like, no, you're singing, you're not performing.
Yep.
This is a recording. You have to perform it like if you were going to perform it. Because then when you perform it, people are going to be like, well, that's not what it sounded like. You know?
Yeah.
So it's really important to me as an engineer to bring that out of people.
Yep.
And I'm like super, I've actually gone to the point where if my client, I feel like they're not in it, I'll be like, hey man, let's just stop. Let's just go ahead, or hey girl, whichever one I'm working with that day, of course. Hey, let's just stop. Let's put a pencil in it and let's come back when you're actually focused.
Yeah.
When you're ready to go. And they're like, well, I have to release it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Then let's take a 5-minute break, figure it out, and then we'll come back. Because it's really important. You know, I don't want to be known as an engineer that just rushes stuff out. I want to be known as an engineer that actually cares about her clients, the quality of the music and the quality of the recording.
Yeah.
That's really important to me. So,
yeah.
Dude, so you were talking about that this was your dream since you were 7 years old. You started in 2018. So what's the background story? What really drew you to the engineering side of the industry?
So I was always a singer.
Okay.
That's what I went to Booker T, was for voice. I like singing. I enjoy it, but that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I'm not a limelight type of person, but the limelight likes me.
Okay. There you go.
She said, I'm not about that life, but I can be about that life.
You know what I'm saying?
It chose me.
Yeah, pretty much. But I honestly was 7 years old. I was watching Selena with my mom and my dad. And when she was in the studio, I was like, that's what I want to do. You know, that's what I want to do. And I never knew, like, I think when I was like maybe in kindergarten, I was like 5 years old. The Selena movie wasn't out. But, you know, just going a little backwards, I was in choir and it would really bother me when people were off pitch. Like, it would bother me and I didn't understand why.
Do you have perfect pitch?
I don't think I have perfect. I have relative.
Okay.
So I can like tell when it's off a little bit. But like, it would just bother me. Like, I would be like, no, that's not how you sing it. I'd be like, sing it right.
Little baby Vanessa.
Hey, you at karaoke?
I know, for real. It's like my eye twitching.
Yeah, pretty much. So people are like, do you go to karaoke? I'm like, no.
Hell no.
No.
Girl, come on.
I
knew
can't.
I liked you. I knew I liked you, girl.
Like, I will try. Like, I'll go and like I'll hear somebody, and as soon as they're off, I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something.
I gotta get out of here. Because I will try to go up there and be like, can you try it again? But like this time, like just like a little bit higher. Yeah, you know, more energy, more breath. No, but in all seriousness, no, I I never really realized until now that I'm older. I'm like, damn, now I know why that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or even my cousins, they'd be like rapping or singing. I'm like, stop.
Immediately.
Like, stop. Like, who sings that? Okay, let them sing it. You know, that whole little kid thing. But I mean, I was little. I never knew why it would bother me so much. That's why.
Wow.
But now, and like even then, I would sit and I would listen to like CDs, and I was like a big like Mariah Carey listener, you know, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and
Mhm.
I would be like, how do they do that? Like, how do they put all those vocals in the back, or how do they, like, I would analyze everything.
That's crazy.
Like, how do they repeat that? Like, do they repeat it 5 times like afterwards? Like, you know, the delays and the reverbs and like, which is like the vocal throws.
Right.
And I would be like, how do they do that? I want to learn how to do that. So I think it was always kind of there. I just wasn't there yet in my journey, right? I think ultimately when we are envisioning something or we have a dream, you know, there's 2 type of people. There's the people that they're going to pursue it, or there's the people that they're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to put it on the back burner. It's just something that when I was little. I would much rather pursue my dream and be struggling financially if I had to, than to be doing a job where I was making like 90K and I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
Girl, that's why I wore my shirt. Because you gave Chingona vibes.
You
and
know
that
what I'm
just
saying?
confirmed it. Yes. She's
Yep.
a hustler.
But
Yes.
let's put it out there though, because you are not just a female engineer. You're not just an engineer to begin with. You're not just a female engineer.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of 2.
Yeah.
In the DFW area.
So there's only 2. There's 2 of us that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be other audio engineers, but shout out to Paola. She's also an engineer in Dallas. So yeah, there's 2 of us that I know of. There may be more, like I said, but I think we're the most active on the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing is that you're certified in what?
Dolby Atmos.
Nah.
So yeah, shout out to Rules. Rules is an engineer out of Dallas too. He had got certified, and I was like, dude, how'd you get certified? And he's like, oh, you know, I went through this program that they had. You had to apply. So he actually sent it to me back in, I want to say November of last year. So you had to apply, you had to get selected. They looked at your credentials, they looked at all your background. So it was through She Is Music, Dolby Atmos, and Engineers. So shout out to all 3 of those platforms, amazing platforms. But yeah, so I actually got selected. I got to do the class online. You had to get a grade, I think it was like 80 or higher. So you had to get 80 or higher before you actually got to do the practicum.
Yeah.
So a few people got selected to go out to Tennessee. I was not one of them, but I was more interested in just getting certified.
Right.
So I got certified. I love Dolby Atmos. I am a Dolby Atmos engineer. So if you need Dolby Atmos done, let me know.
And can you explain kind of what that is?
Oh my gosh. So it's like the coolest thing ever. So Dolby is basically, the easiest way to put it in the terms that's most understandable is you're sitting in a room and the music is literally surrounding you. It's placed in different areas in the room.
Strategically.
Very strategically. So you're sitting there, and let's say you want to put vocals on the front and you want to put vocals in the middle. And the easiest way you can think of it is when you go to the movies.
Yeah.
If you go to the movies and you're going to see the speakers all around, that's what Dolby Atmos is. You can hear somebody running in the background. That's Dolby Atmos. So it's actual immersive sound, right? So we do have that set up at the studio. Yeah. You saw it.
Yeah, I did.
It's an amazing
That's
setup.
cool.
Yeah. So we can actually hear what it would sound like in the Dolby space. So it's just a blessing. Like, it's a blessing to be able to have done that. And I'm super excited about where music is going as a whole. Because I did always envision that, like, I would be like, well, how do I get the vocals to be like back here, like way back here, not like here, because it's left, right, it's stereo, left, right. But I want to make them sound like back here. And now you can. Yeah. You can make the vocals do whatever you want. Like, I have a mentor and he does Dolby as well. And his name is Matt Kennedy. Shout out to Matt. Hey. So he also does Dolby a lot, and I would sit there before I was certified, and even now sometimes I'll sit there because he's mad creative. Yeah. So I was like, dude, like, the things you can do with Dolby Atmos, like, there's no wrong or right. It's just a matter of how you want to make it sound. Right. So a lot of people are very like, try to make it as close to stereo, you know. I try to be in the middle, I want
Yeah.
to make it as close to stereo, but I also want to make it immersive. That's
Creative.
that's the
Yeah.
point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Because music is a feeling that
Facts.
we emit through our earbuds while
Of
we're
course.
recording, and the fact that you're already making that creative move like is insane.
Yeah, it's mad cool. So I love being able to mix in Dolby. But yeah, I
Yeah.
Vanessa is the future of music.
There you
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
There you go. And I know Paola has a couple of questions for
Yes,
you.
girl.
Okay, girl, what's up?
So we are all Booker T alum, and I know we all get the same questions asked every time we go out and do interviews and they find out we're from Booker T. But I'm going to take it a different direction here. I want to know what advice you would give yourself as a high school student at Booker T looking back now.
So I think the advice that I would give myself is to put yourself out there more.
Mm-hmm.
Like for all the girls that are, all the girls and young men that are students now or that are wanting to pursue music, put yourself out there more. Don't put yourself in a box, and like really go for what you want to go for. So I know now at Booker T, I believe they have recording now, don't they?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool because when I was a student, there was one teacher. I don't know if you ever met Marantz.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
A legend.
Not Marantz. I'm so sorry.
Farmer?
Martinez.
Okay, yes,
Martinez,
also.
Yes. Okay.
He's apparently retired in some island right now. So.
Oh man.
I think he retired the year you graduated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was actually an audio engineer, and I remember watching him work. But he worked. I don't remember if it was through Adobe. I don't remember his program, but it wasn't Pro Tools, so it wasn't the industry standard. But he would let me sit in when I had free periods, and I got to watch him, record the orchestra or band or whatever he was working with.
Yeah.
So he would do recordings, and I got to see it, but I didn't really get to experience actually being in the studio until we did Latin Ensemble.
Right.
Latin Ensemble, I think, was the first time that I was actually in the studio. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that was just confirmation for me. I was like at Disneyland.
You knew. At that
Yeah, like
point.
I knew. I was totally locked in. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. But I would tell myself, do what you want to do, follow the path you want to follow. And ultimately you're gonna get there. If that's what you want to do, you can pursue whatever it is that you want to do. You just have to be intentional.
Right.
You have to be very
intentionality.
intentional, about what you want and where you want to go with it.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to ask me, was I in high school? I would say probably not.
Yeah. I don't think
Probably
any
not.
of us
No.
knew what the hell was going on.
We didn't know what we wanted to do. Like
None of us did.
For the majority of the time, I never auditioned for anything. I never auditioned for solos. I never auditioned because I knew I was never going to get them.
Same.
And there's a whole story to
Oh,
that
we know.
too.
Right. Mm. Yeah, 'cause especially at Booker T, you are in a sea with big ass fish.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and you come from a public school, middle school that like you're the top dog.
Yeah.
You are the person they go to for the solos. You are the person
Not at Booker T.
that you
Yeah.
are the leader of your section. But at
So-
Booker T, you walk in and you're like,
Everybody's trying to
Oh.
do.
You feel this big.
yeah, you
Yeah.
feel this
Yeah.
big.
Everybody's trying to do the same thing. Everybody's trying to gain the same gain,
Yeah.
and whether you're like super confident walking in, you're not going to stay super confident
No.
walking
Yeah.
in because it'll humble you real.
Yeah, you do get
real
humbled,
quick.
but I will say that there's still a community.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
feels like a community, but it's
You got to
like
find it first.
You have to find it, and you have to cut through the noise.
There's a lot of
like-
noise.
Yeah. So ultimately, I could see baby Vanessa maybe coming into your own like when you're like junior or senior year,
Yeah.
right? Because that's probably like
That's when I started.
around the
really-
time. Yeah. I don't think I really felt in my own until about senior year. Because
Gotcha.
senior year I was trying out for everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I think that's great advice, and I
Yeah.
think all young people need to hear that nowadays. Even us as adults, we need to hear that.
Come out a
We
little bit
need to
more.
put ourselves out there, regardless of what we're doing. Even if it's like just go out and dance to your favorite song on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Like something simple as that can be so nerve-wracking
Impactful,
and so
yeah.
impactful
Yeah.
whenever you do release it and you're out there and you inspire people. And so I'm gonna ask a follow-up question.
What's up?
Do you think you live by that advice now
Not
as an
at all.
adult?
I'm not even gonna hesitate to answer that. I mean, now as an adult, yes. But I think when I was at Booker T, not at all. I feel like, when you get older and you're in the industry a little bit more and you start to see really how everything kind of peels back, the curtain peels back, and you see how the industry actually works. You go after what you want to go after, right?
Yep.
But I feel like when we were young, like you said, I feel like I put myself in a box for a long time. And I was trying to find myself coming out of that box.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I found it at high school at all until I got to college, to be honest with you.
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be my next question. Okay. So ultimately, we also got to meet each other at DBU, really get to know each other just a little bit more. What was your experience like as a Latina at Dallas Baptist University? And the reason why I ask is because during the time that we went to school, this was whenever Trump came into office. And we're not going to talk way too much about political. We're just talking about our experiences as Latina women on a campus where it's predominantly 99, I don't want to say 95% white.
Oh, man. So I love DBU. Shout out to Professor Adams.
Yes.
He was the recording professor. He was the best. Like, I can go to him today still and be like, hey, how are you doing, professor? And we'll sit there and we'll talk about recordings for hours. Like, he was probably my favorite teacher, hands down. And you have those teachers that unfortunately aren't so nice, that you see them kind of cutting slack and to other people. But when you would ask for that same slack, it wasn't reciprocated, right? I don't know if you experienced that. I experienced that.
Yes.
I had
a lot.
Yeah, I had one teacher who actually failed me 3 times. She gave me a 69.5 every time in theory.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we were actually on one of those together.
Yes. Yes. I remember.
So we're not gonna say no names.
Yeah, no, we don't mention, the bad.
You know who you are.
Yeah,
you already know. Yeah.
and I had another person that they were an advisor, and they sat there and they told me, hey, I feel like you're just bumping your head against the wall. I feel like you're not really serious about pursuing music. And I feel like you should just give up on recording.
Oh,
wow.
And I said, respectfully, you don't pay for my tuition, I do.
Period. Right.
Exactly. So lucky enough for me, I'm not going to give up on my dream. Whether it doesn't click the first time, it doesn't click the second time, I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
I'm not going to give up. So I went to the head and I told him very nicely. And he went and he talked to that advisor, and I was removed from that advisor to another advisor.
And if you know anything about that, it's hard. You don't get to just remove your advisor or remove like a vocal coach too.
Yeah.
You can't just remove yourself, or there has to be an actual reason why. So it can't just be like, oh, I don't like them, or they don't like me. It's hard. It's a tough thing, especially in college. And so to do that was a hard thing for sure.
Oh, yeah. So I was not the only Latina. There was another Latina. Her name was Christina. She was also in my class, and she experienced a lot of the similar things.
Yeah.
And I would see, that it was us. Like, we were the only ones going through that, but never in recording classes. Like I said, Professor Adams was amazing. He would take the time to sit there and explain things to you.
Yeah.
And it was more on the theory side or the actual music side. Until I got Professor Weaver, who was like my favorite teacher too.
Yeah.
Especially for the theory. I did jazz theory. And I loved,
she was great.
Yes, I love Professor Weaver. And I was about to graduate, and she's like, hey, I just want to check in with you. I know you have all your stuff ready for graduation. So I was looking at your transcript, and it said that your degree was undecided, but I know it's recording.
Yeah.
So go talk to the dean and have him fix it.
Yeah.
And this was like my last semester. I was like, so I went and I was like, yo, like, you guys know what my degree is.
Why is it
undecided? Like, all of my prerequisites for recording are done. I had gotten an A in both recording classes.
Yeah.
So why does it say undecided?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm so sorry. I'll fix it for you. Let me just go ahead and let them know. So he fixed it like fast.
Yeah.
And I was super grateful. grateful that I got to go to school there. Still, it was still a great school.
Yeah,
we met a lot of
absolutely.
great people. We got to go to school again together.
Yeah.
But I was ready to graduate, and when I graduated, I was so excited.
Yeah.
So
I was the same way. I was like, I want to go. Again, there is never going to be any hatred.
No,
There's never
no,
going to
no.
be any like bad ill will against Dallas Baptist University, because it housed us. It housed me for 5
Yeah.
years. And the same teachers that you talk about are the same teachers I got to have in my music business degree.
Yeah.
So I got to experience the same love from the same people. I'm pretty sure that I had the same experiences with similar teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to shout out Dr. Fansler really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Fansler was, I believe, in charge of the music business entrepreneur program.
Yeah.
And so, I believe he's still there.
I think so. Yeah.
So shout out to Terry Fansler. Thank you so much for, even giving us the opportunity to study in any kind of music business platform or performance level. But yeah, I mean, it was really, really tough. It was tough. And I will never sit there and say all of the teachers were bad or the school or anything like that. It was a very big blessing to be on that campus. It's a beautiful campus. If you haven't gone, I would definitely go get a tour and see it. But yeah, I felt very, very similar in the sense of like, there were certain people that didn't necessarily feel like I belonged there.
Right.
And, ultimately, some of the people that we went to school with, it was also that way too.
Yeah, some of the people for sure. I think my senior year, I kind of just separated myself.
Same.
And I don't mean that in the most negative way or anything like that. I knew what I had to get done, and I knew that I wanted it to be my last year. And I knew that I was going to get everything done.
Right.
So I think I just literally locked in, and I was ready to just finish it and just ready to graduate. So that's exactly what I did. But I made some amazing friends there too.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people that I did have friendships that I created. There was a lot of people that I did look up to. And especially in the recording studio, there's a lot of students there that helped me.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah.
A lot.
I remember seeing you all the time.
All the time. So, I wasn't working at that time. My dad was like, dude, just drop your job. I'll help you with whatever you need and just graduate.
Yeah.
So that last year, I really just locked in and just, like I said, I finished what I needed to finish. And the cool thing about DBU that really did catapult, I believe, where I'm at now is the fact that we were in Grammy U.
Yes.
So absolutely. I feel like that did help a lot.
Yeah.
We got to meet a lot of cool mentors, a lot of people that we still talk to today.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I am super grateful for that. I did go to a lot of the events. So I got to meet Miss Teresa. I know she passed not too long ago. Rest in peace. But she was an amazing, amazing leader. And Christy down in Austin.
Yeah.
So that led me to my friend Diana Zapata, who is Danny Zapata's daughter. Shout out to both of them. Both amazing, amazing people. And then that led me to Carlos.
Yeah.
So that led me to amazing people. And I don't regret going there. I don't regret everything that I went through because I feel like it did prepare me.
Mm-hmm.
It prepared me for the industry. It prepared me for being a female in a male-dominated industry.
Amen to that.
Part.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, ladies. And I think it's important that you guys share this story because you never know who is going through the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Who knows who you're impacting right now and who you're inspiring to keep going today.
Yeah.
Because it's important to have this open conversation, this open dialogue, to bring light to issues like Latina women in environments that don't necessarily accept them for who they are.
Yeah. And it was scary at first. I remember going to the studio and I always wanted to work on a console. But when I first saw the console, I was like, I just kind of froze.
Theory's over there like, yes.
I can relate.
Because you see all these buttons, but then you realize, okay, it's just the channel strip and they're all the same. So it's all the same thing repeated. And it's just the auxes. So it's going to your headphones and it's just the basic compression and the gate. So it's super simple. But we overcomplicate it because it's a lot. It's overwhelming when you first get in there.
Yeah.
Right. So how would you explain being an engineer to somebody who has no idea what you are talking about? Now that we're in this topic.
So being an engineer, what I tell people is I basically make the music. That's the easiest way that I can relate that to them. And a lot of people ask me, and it drives me crazy when they ask me, "So you're a DJ?"
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, the insult. I'm like, okay,
audacity.
yeah, you know the music the DJ plays. I was like, well, I create that.
Yeah.
So
you put it together.
yes, and it's a lot harder. And no offense to my DJs, I love my DJs, like for real. But it's a lot. Like there are some DJs that they do engineer, right? So they know the struggle. But just like that's the easiest way to explain it, right? Then you have people that they know a little bit, and they're like, "So what is it like working at the studio?" I'm like, "Oh man, it's like you're in Disneyland for me."
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I feel like that's the easiest way to explain it to people.
Yeah.
And then like they'll ask me more questions, like they get curious and like, so you have all the buttons, and I'm like, yeah, the buttons.
The buttons.
The buttons. Yeah, I like
buttons,
pushing the
knobs.
buttons. Yeah.
So if you're listening to a podcast, you can't compare the sound engineer to a DJ any longer. Okay,
Please
You
don't.
guys are more educated than that.
You're not
You
allowed.
learned something new today. So Vanessa, tell us what is in store. What should we be looking forward to in your career? Who are you working with? What are some projects you're working on?
Also ways to contact you, like through social media.
Okay, cool. So I am super excited. I've got to work with Monica. So that was actually on my bucket list. I wanted to work with Monica for a long time, and I told her when she came.
And she was miserable the entire time.
No, I was not.
No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like that was you're like the easier one to record.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I would be like, okay, so you're gonna do this harmony, and she'd be like, okay, cool, I got it. And yeah, it would like super click fast. And other people I have to coach a little bit more, like, let's try a little bit higher. I have to get my little piano out. I'm like, you hear this note? D. So you're gonna do just a little bit higher. Okay. And some people are just tone deaf, bless their heart.
And so she has to do the magic and make it sound like they're not tone deaf.
Yes. But no. I love all my clients, and I love being able to help them and guide them with that process. And I just neglected from your question. What was your question? One more time?
What projects are in store? What should we be looking forward to?
And who am I working with? I remember now. Sorry, I had a brain fart. But so I got to work with Monica. Carlos actually included me in a program where I got to work with Jacqueline Rivera, who is Jenny Rivera's daughter.
Yeah,
she's amazing. She's one of the most talented people that I also work with, along with Monica. I got to work with Yasabi. I got to work with a lot of rappers that are local, some that are not so local. So I get to work with a lot of amazing people, and I'm super grateful for every single opportunity that comes my way. I think going forward, what you're going to see is you'll see me a little bit more. What do I mean by that? So I will be putting out more productions. Nice. I'm also a producer. I don't tell people because then people are like, oh, can you help me produce this song? And I'm like, right now I'm trying to figure out life.
And real.
Yeah. But no, I'm going to be doing more productions. I was on a single last year with one of my clients. I am on a single this year with the client. We're shooting a video within the next month.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like you'll be seeing me more, like as my artist side, my production side, and just stay tuned. I'm gonna start posting more. You can find me on social media. It's Vanny_music, VANI_music. That's how you can reach out to me. That's how most people reach out to me, or email as well. So it's Vanny, VANNY music at 1010@gmail.com. So either one of those two ways they can contact me.
Okay.
Probably Instagram's the easiest way.
Yeah. It usually is the easiest way. And before we forget to shout out Carlos, Carlos Alvarez is one of my producers on my project Tres, which, we've gotten connected again through him. So hopefully he'll be actually one of the people on the podcast. That's what we're hoping for. To talk about like the business side and like the Grammy side. But yes, reach out to my girl. She is awesome. We will make sure to link all of her stuff and also post it on the podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining in on this conversation with Vanesa Ayala. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.